The final day for fusion, and it ended with some good news. Hello, I'm Kimberly Perkins, and coming along on the KTVX News at 5:30, details on fusion's last hurrah. Also, 3 more children have been bitten by a dog that authorities fear might be rabid. Navajos in southern Utah go to court to fight for Utah oil royalties that are going to the Arizona tribe. And good news if you like the idea of listening to the symphony outdoors while drinking fine wine. We'll see you at 5:30.
Dan's got to bust a killer judge.
You'll kill me. We're willing to risk it.
On the next Night Court.
Tonight at 10:35 on KTVX Channel 4.
Call now and get a hot deal on a Domino's Pepperoni Pizza Feast, packed with pepperoni and loaded with cheese. Call Domino's now and get a medium pepperoni pizza feast for only $7.99. And get another one for only $4 more.
Floyd, more paste picante sauce.
There you go.
Floyd, this ain't paste.
Well, so what?
Paste is made in San Antonio.
By folks who know what picante sauce should taste like. Hey, this stuff's made in New York City.
New York City?
Pick up the original. Pick up the pace.
Maybe we were a bit too hard on Floyd. Nah.
KTVX News, when you really need to know.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Sitting in tonight, Carol Simpson.
Good evening. The United States has accused Iraq of what it calls outrageous behavior, a flagrant breach of the ceasefire. For the second time in a week, the Iraqis refused to let a UN inspection team search for equipment used to make fuel for nuclear weapons. Today, when the inspectors tried to check out yet another military base, the Iraqis not only said no, they did so with gunfire. UN officials say they caught the Iraqis red-handed and have pictures to prove it. ABC's Britt Hume reports that President Bush is taking the matter very seriously.
Events in Iraq brought the Bush administration's military high command to the White House this morning for a meeting with the president. At the State Department, spokeswoman Tutwiler described what happened when the UN observers arrived at the Iraqi facility just as trucks containing suspected nuclear materials were leaving.
When team members moved closer to observe and photograph the departure of the vehicles, Iraqi military authorities threatened the inspection team with small arms warning shots fired in the air. The Iraqis also made efforts to seize the team's cameras.
As he left the White House for a weekend in Maine, the president told reporters he was very concerned about the episode. Later, aboard Air Force One, he elaborated.
We can't, from the U.S. standpoint, permit this brutal bully to go back on what was a solemn agreement and to threaten people that are there under UN jurisdiction. And that's exactly what he appears to have done. And the man has no shame.
The president was asked if he was sure Iraq's actions had violated the ceasefire agreement.
Yes, I'm totally satisfied of that. I've seen incontrovertible evidence to this effect. Incontrovertible, unarguable.
He ruled out nothing as to what the U.S. might do, but said the first steps would not be military.
I think we need to be sure that we start immediate consultation at the UN. And then don't press me what I'll do beyond that, because I'm not prepared to say. I'm not prepared to say what we'll do.
But when he was pressed on whether the U.S. and its allies might resort to force, the president replied that the UN resolutions already passed authorized their enforcement by all means necessary. Britt Hume, ABC News, Kennebunkport, Maine.
Under the terms of the ceasefire, Iraq agreed to scrap all its weapons of mass destruction. As ABC's Bob Zelnick reports, officials at the Pentagon believe that Iraq is falling way short of complying with those terms.
Pentagon sources say today's confrontation involved the same nuclear materials UN inspectors had been forbidden to see at the Abu Ghraib military barracks last Sunday. After that incident, U.S. intelligence satellites tracked Iraqi trucks hauling the equipment to the Al-Fallujah facility. Sources say the material consists of components used to produce enriched uranium for atomic weapons. The Iraqi nuclear program is not the only area of concern. Sources say that Iraq still has chemical and biological warfare programs, as well as an ongoing ballistic missile program.
He has had months in which to hide a great deal of this material. Iraq is filled with literally hundreds of secure military storage facilities, some of which are co-located with cities and populated areas.
That restricts the bombing options available to the U.S., even though it has an aircraft carrier operating in the Persian Gulf and a wide range of strike aircraft based in Saudi Arabia. At the UN this afternoon, the Secretary General dispatched a special team to Iraq to demand the inspectors get what they need to do their job.
Total freedom of movement, immediate access to the places which they wanted to visit, and of course the security of the mission.
Tonight, Saddam Hussein announced that he was instructing his military to cooperate with UN inspectors. No one here is ruling out military action if his word again proves false. Bob Zelnick, ABC News at the Pentagon.
In a moment, looking for someone to fill Justice Marshall's shoes. Word of a ceasefire between Yugoslavia and one of its breakaway republics. And our person of the week, a passionate believer in children.
Now there's a new way to plug into freshness. New Glade Plug-ins Potpourri.
Plug it into freshen the air.
Glade plug-ins freshen for 30 days.
Plug it into freshen everywhere.
Gently, constantly warms this refill cartridge.
Plug it in the bathroom. Plug it in the den.
Now in a new fresh Potpourri scent.
Plug it in once, plug it in again.
Plug into freshness with Glade Plug-ins Potpourri.
Plug it in, plug it in.
Hurry in and save over $2,700 on a Subaru Legacy L Sedan Automatic with the Value Plus package. Get $2,000 in factory cash direct to you and package savings of $705. With great savings from Subaru, you're really in the money.
A lot of you insist on eating wheat thins and oat thins because they taste good. But the whole idea behind these crackers is that you can eat them without feeling guilty. That's why they're baked, not fried. I mean, eat them because they're delicious, and you miss the whole point.
Just one day after announcing his retirement, Justice Thurgood Marshall met with reporters at the Supreme Court today for a demonstration of the kind of wit and spirit he's shown in 24 years on the high bench. There was a lot of speculation today about who his replacement will be. President Bush promises to have a name within a few days. Here's our law correspondent, Tim O'Brien.
At the White House, Chief of Staff John Sununu was sounding out key senators on the phone. Aboard Air Force One, President Bush was promising a nominee for all Americans. But all over town, administration officials were floating the name of Federal Appeals Court Judge Clarence Thomas. He's 43 years old, conservative, an outspoken critic of affirmative action, former head of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. But Thomas's nomination, which would likely produce a confirmation fight, is anything but assured. Other names mentioned include Appeals Court Judge Edith Jones and 3 Hispanic judges, Ricardo Hinojosa, Emilio Garza, and Ferdinand Fernandez. Meanwhile, retiring Justice Thurgood Marshall, without reference to anyone, warned the president against using race as an excuse for a bad choice.
And I don't think it should be used as an excuse one way or the other.
An excuse for what, Justice?
Doing wrong. I mean, for picking the wrong Negro and said, I'm picking him because he's a Negro. I'm opposed to that. I think the important factor is to pick the best person for the job, not on the basis of race.
Marshall, the court's staunchest advocate of affirmative action, seemed indignant when asked if the lives of black people had improved during his 24 years on the court.
That is a question that has no relationship whatsoever. So are the white people better off since I sat on the court.
Would you share with us some of the medical facts? What's wrong with you, sir?
What's wrong with me? I'm old. I'm getting old and coming apart.
The justice insisted he had no plans to write memoirs about his extraordinary life on and off the bench, but when asked,
Do you have any plans for your retirement?
Yep. Sit on my rear end.
Tim O'Brien, ABC News, Washington.
Still in Washington, the battle over sweeping new anti-crime legislation has cleared a major hurdle. The Senate has agreed on a controversial new bill that would make it tougher to buy a gun. It is a bill that may never have come to the floor if it weren't for President Reagan's former press secretary Jim Brady and his wife Sarah. Here's ABC's Jim Wooten.
After days of haggling on and off the floor, the Senate finally found a majority for a hybrid version of the Brady bill today. It blends a waiting period for all handgun purchases with a national database for checking on those who want to buy them. The margin was comfortable, 67 to 32, and the Bradys were pleased. They'd come to the Capitol to monitor the legislation they've been pushing for years, and they watched Democrat Metzenbaum of Ohio and Republican leader Dole hammering out the compromise that puts an immediate 5-day waiting period between the purchase of a weapon and its delivery. The original bill had called for 7 days. It also provides $100 million federal dollars to help states build a national network of criminal records for checking the background of those who order guns from licensed dealers. Not everybody was happy.
Streets of America will not be safer tomorrow or next year by the passage of this law.
The National Rifle Association and President Bush had endorsed a version with an instant background check, but it was defeated in the wee hours this morning as unrealistic. The version passed today gives states 5 years to install a computer system and penalizes them and the Justice Department if they don't meet their deadlines. After the vote, Brady was asked how he'd lobby the president now.
It's a good bill and you're a good man, and sign it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Until it is signed into law, the Bradys intend to continue their efforts. Jim Wooten, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
A Georgia man has been convicted of sending the pipe bombs that killed a federal judge in Alabama and a civil rights lawyer in Georgia 18 months ago. The prosecution described Walter Moody as a stealth bomber, carrying on a one-man war against the federal court system. He faces life in prison without parole. People in the Los Angeles area were jolted early this morning by a big earthquake deep in the earth under the San Gabriel Mountains. The quake, which measured 6.0 on the Richter scale, damaged hundreds of buildings, shattering glass and knocking things off store shelves. One hardware store had to clean up some spilled insecticide. The quake is blamed for at least 2 deaths and dozens of injuries. When we come back, Yugoslavia's central government claims to be in control of a rebellious republic.
Where do you want to be in 5 years?
I had an old Studebaker truck and $300 when I started this company. In a few years, my sons will be ready to take over, and then I'd like to... I never told anybody this. I want to live in Paris and go to cooking school. Hey, that's what I want to do. Will I have the money to do it?
You can get there from here with Shearson Lehman Brothers.
This morning, as guests at the 5-star Arizona Biltmore are tempted to breakfast, the fine brewed coffee usually served has been secretly switched to Folgers Crystals. Does it have the fresh brewed taste and aroma these guests expect?
They were just sort of waft me out of bed. Tastes like fresh ground beans.
It help wake us up, get us going.
It's Folgers Crystals.
Coffee jar. I would have thought it was brewed.
Is the word elegant? Can that be used for coffee?
Mountain-grown Folgers Crystals. Coffee rich enough to be served in America's finest restaurants.
And I'll drink to that.
When I say home by 11, I don't mean an hour later.
But, Daddy...
Another Maalox moment. It's a medical fact. There's no faster therapy known for your stomach acid than Maalox. It's so strong, if you take it now, it starts working now.
Honey, I just can't help worrying about my little girl.
Daddy, I am 16.
Yeah.
Extra strength Maalox Plus. It's a medical fact. There's no faster therapy known. Look for the coupon in Sunday's paper.
In Yugoslavia tonight, a ceasefire has been worked out between the federal government and the Republic of Slovenia. It comes after another day of heavy fighting following Slovenians' declaration of independence. ABC's John Lawrence is in Yugoslavia.
Yugoslav Air Force planes bombed and strafed Slovenian positions during the day in an overwhelming show of military might that attempted to crush the main elements of resistance in the Northern Republic. In this encounter, a convoy of Slovenian trucks was attacked from the air. A number of civilian truck drivers were killed and wounded. It was one incident in the federal strategy of isolating the republic from the rest of the region and trying to overwhelm its lightly armed troops. In a day of heavy fighting throughout Slovenia, federal troops from the regular army moved against local militia soldiers and policemen in a coordinated offensive. In some cases, regular army troops gave themselves up to the rebels rather than take part in the fighting. The army includes several thousand conscripts from Slovenia, some of whom have no desire to do battle. Just to the south, in neighboring Croatia, civilians are being treated for injuries suffered when they tried to stop a convoy of Yugoslav army tanks. More than a dozen people were wounded in the incident. The ceasefire that was to take effect tonight was announced on national television by the federal Prime Minister Ante Markovic, who appealed for negotiations to stop the bloodshed. After 2 days of serious combat and months of sporadic shooting, it is not yet clear whether this phase of the fighting has stopped. John Lawrence, ABC News, Zagreb, Yugoslavia.
In the Israeli-occupied territories today, Palestinians have gone on strike for the day to protest Israel's annexation of Jerusalem 24 years ago. The strike is a tool the Palestinians have relied on throughout their 3.5-year uprising. But since the end of the Gulf War, they've been putting their strategy through a major re-evaluation. Here's ABC's Dean Reynolds.
You can spot the changes on the skyline. In some cities, not a Palestinian flag in sight. On the facade of West Bank shops, the political slogans are gone. At the newly opened universities, the demonstrations have disappeared. Today, football has replaced stone throwing. And elaborately festive Palestinian weddings, out of favor for the last 4 years, are now making a comeback. Palestinians, disappointed and financially strapped by the Gulf War and frustrated in their fight against Israel, are taking a break and turning inward.
The political frustration, the economic pressures have really affected the minds and the hearts of these people.
Palestinian leaders say now is the time to reassess the uprising or intifada.
To see what is positive and what is negative in order to direct the intifada in a good way to reach its goals.
There are open and increasingly popular calls to stop the intercommunal violence, which this year has claimed more Palestinian casualties than the Israeli army, to limit the strikes which hurt Palestinian business the most, reduce demonstrations, and keep children under 15 away from confrontations with soldiers. Leaders here, and they, not the PLO political establishment outside the territories, are the leaders here, want to emphasize the expansion of educational and business institutions that could lay the foundation for self-sufficiency. That could prepare Palestinians for independence, if Israel ever agrees to it.
It is not necessary to practice violently in order to send this message.
While some Israelis believe this spells the end of the uprising, it is really more a change in tactics. Palestinians may well be taking this new approach, trying to control their destiny, because as they know better than anyone, nothing else has worked. Dean Reynolds, ABC News, in the Israeli-occupied West Bank.
In London today, the former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher has ruled out a political comeback. Mrs. Thatcher says she will not seek re-election to the House of Commons. And we'll be back in a moment.
You want to protect your family with a good investment at a good price. You need someone to help you handle the road ahead. You need a Goodyear retailer, not only because he stocks a wide selection of quality tires, but because he can help you select the right tire for your budget and the way you drive. A tire that can help provide your family with a secure future. Good tires, good service, good people, Goodyear.
Not long ago, Baskin-Robbins asked a panel of ice cream experts to taste their lighter side. New Baskin-Robbins fat-free with no cholesterol, light and sugar-free.
I can hardly tell the difference. Can you, Fred? Fred?
I need a laxative that can work dependably.
Doxadan can.
But can it be gentle?
Doxadan can. Doxadan works dependably overnight with a special ingredient for gentle relief.
Dependable, yes. Gentle, yes.
Doxadan can.
This 92-pound woman has the same strength as this 250-pound professional cleaner.
Because now, the same cleaning power that the pros use to clean just about everything is available to me. Introducing Professional Strength Windex. Naturally, it cleans and shines glass, but look how it cleans countertops, greasy stoves, without leaving streaks like all-purpose cleaners can. New Professional Strength Windex. Professional clean, Windex shine, all in one.
It's Color Tile's 4th of July sale. Great store-wide savings up to 74% on quality name brands. There's something for everyone. Every DuPont stain master carpet, luxurious. Every Armstrong no-wax floor. Every ceramic tile, too. So stylish. And every Color Tile wood flooring and wall covering. Plus mini blinds, buy one, get two free. Store-wide savings up to 74%. For beautifully affordable rooms, hurry to Color Tile's 4th of July sale. It ends Thursday, July 4th.
A question on Capitol Hill today about food safety. Chicken is often praised for its nutritional value, but if not processed correctly, it can also carry dangerous contamination. That's why a Senate subcommittee wants to know if chicken really can be hazardous to your health. Here's ABC's Mike Von Fremd.
The average American consumes 75 pounds of chicken a year. But many federal inspectors who work in these plants claim much of what is produced is not fit to eat.
I have been in plants where the contamination was so bad, almost in every other bird, that I would get so frustrated that I would just feel like just throwing my hands up and shutting the lines down and just walk out.
Many inspectors say there are simply too many chickens for too few inspectors. Senator Howard Metzenbaum chaired the hearing to take the industry to task.
Tests show that well over half the raw chickens in the United States are contaminated with a type of bacteria which claims 2,000 lives annually, makes 4 million people sick, and results in $2 billion in medical and lost work bills every year.
Metzenbaum is calling for a study and regulations that would give inspectors greater control over the speed of the processing lines and protect their jobs when they blow the whistle. But industry officials claim that adding more regulations and slowing down production will drastically increase the price of what is already one of the healthiest and safest foods on the market. Even so, the industry cautions that when you put your broiler on the barbecue, make sure it's washed and cooked thoroughly to kill any bacteria. Mike Von Fremd, ABC News, Gainesville, Georgia.
In economic news, the government's barometer of future economic activity rose 0.8% last month. It's the 4th month in a row that the index of leading economic indicators has gone up. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials lost 28 points today to close at 29.06 in moderate trading. That brought the loss for the week to more than 58 points. And we'll be back in just a moment.
World News Tonight with Peter Jennings and the Person of the Week are brought to you by Advil.
It feels to me always like someone's banging on my knuckles with a hammer. It's really uncomfortable.
Today, it isn't aspirin, it's Advil for minor arthritis pain.
Advil just really helps with the pain. It makes it go away. The Advil caused me no upset stomach.
Over 100 million people have tried Advil for many types of pain.
That means to me it must work, and it also means it must be safe, and those are two things that I'm interested in.
Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
Does it take a major expedition to get something in your refrigerator? Would you say that finding things isn't exactly a piece of cake? You should explore Frigidaire Elite. Refrigerators so intelligently designed, they practically hand you what you're looking for. And are the most energy efficient we've ever built. After all, it's not just a fridge. It's a Frigidaire.
We've just found a way to make Nabisco spoon-sized shredded wheat even better. Every shredded wheat biscuit is now toastier and crispier because each is toasted through and through It's almost like we let each little biscuit have its very own great day in the sun. Wake up to Nabisco shredded wheat. It tastes like it's sun-toasted.
Politicians on the take, caught red-handed by hidden cameras. A story of gambling, greed, and votes for sale. Plus, competent, experienced airline pilots forced out of the cockpit by a government rule.
I personally don't like it.
2020 tonight.
Finally, this evening, our Person of the Week. We have spent the last 2 weeks concentrating on the problems of American children who live in poverty. Last week, we traveled to Ohio to see for ourselves the conditions that are common to so many poor children around the country. And this week, we focused on the report of the National Commission on Children, which recommended that we as a nation invest in our future by investing in our children. The name of the person we choose this week is indelibly etched on that report.
Well, I'm a father. I have 4 children, and I believe passionately in the possibilities of American children.
Jay Rockefeller has put his passion to the test. The senator from West Virginia is chairman of the National Commission on Children. The commission's report on the condition of America's children, nearly 3 years in the making, was released this week. The effort was an eye-opener for the commission members, especially for the chairman.
We went all over this country and we really saw the condition of children, and we were deeply moved by it. You go into Cook County General Hospital and you see premature children, prematurely born. You just die inside, and you come out of that hospital a different person, no matter what your ideology.
How are you doing?
The 32 commissioners who served under Rockefeller came from all walks of life and represented a wide range of political opinion. When it came time to decide on the report's recommendations, there was tremendous disagreement among them. At one point, most of them agreed that they couldn't agree on anything. Rockefeller coaxed and cajoled each of them until they reached a consensus.
Because our commissioners cared, and because I as chairman knew that our commissioners cared, and I knew that our commissioners wanted to be problem solvers, not problem makers, and I felt that there was a real opportunity to create a nonpartisan consensus, a 32-0 vote, and it ended up that way.
Liberal and conservative members alike agree that Jay Rockefeller was the glue that kept them together.
There is no question that the key ingredient was Senator Jay Rockefeller, who is a person of unbelievable skill when it comes to reaching consensus.
When I joined this commission, I thought it was very possible that what might be called the liberal majority would easily outvote us if it ever came to that point. It didn't happen, and I think that was Senator Rockefeller's doing. He made it very clear early on that he was going to try to achieve a consensus document.
John D. Rockefeller IV was born in New York City, great-grandson of John D. Rockefeller, the oil baron and founder of the family fortune.
I hope I feel an added obligation because I'm a Rockefeller, because I had so many of the advantages that so many of the children that I saw and worked with didn't have.
That obligation led Jay Rockefeller, after Harvard and Asian studies in Japan, to volunteer for the VISTA program. In 1964, he went to work with the impoverished people of West Virginia, and that's where he stayed. Twice elected Democratic governor of West Virginia, and now its junior senator, he has championed the cause of long-term health care for the elderly. But children have occupied most of his time these last 3 years. 12 million poor American children and their families who need help.
Bingo! This report of the National Commission on Children is going to be law one of these days before very long.
As Washington goes, that may or may not happen. But seeing the problems of children firsthand, Jay Rockefeller has at least given poor children a powerful voice there.
It's must-do business for America. No more time to waste.
And so we choose Senator Jay Rockefeller for the children. In the preface to his commission's report, Senator Rockefeller says, "History will judge this generation of Americans harshly if we allow futile debate to take the place of action. For millions of children and families," he says, "the hour already is late." And that's our report on World News Tonight. I'm Carol Simpson. Peter Jennings will be back on Monday. For all of us at ABC News, good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
To some, he was a hero.
Fire! I am this revolution!
To others, a tyrant.
Don't you ever lie to me!
Starting Sunday, Napoleon and Josephine, a love story.
Good afternoon. Coming along next on the news at 5:30, it was supposed to change the world energy supply, but today fusion was over.
Kearns residents are worried about another potentially rabid dog that's bitten 3 children. And some Utah Navajos try to regain oil money that's going to their tribe in Arizona. The KTVX News at 5:30 is coming along next.
Utah wakes up with Good Morning America.
Weekday mornings at 7 here on KTVX Channel 4.
Hi, I'm Tracy, and this is Skipper the Parrot. Be safe this summer. Remember, it takes 2 to enjoy the water. For more information on Skipper's water safety program, stop by your local Skippers. A message from people who care about water safety.
Us drive like life's a game. But in life, there's no replay. It doesn't hurt to drive carefully.
Custom Van Sales. Who wins Salt Lake Valley GMC's Factory Custom Van Showdown at the Valley Fair Mall? You do. An all-wheel Safari custom van for just $261 a month.
Custom Van Sales
at the Valley Fair Mall, Thursday through Saturday. Presented by Salt Lake Valley GMC.
Custom Van Sales Showdown.
This is the KTVX Channel 4 News at 5:30.
Good afternoon. I'm Barbara Smith. Phil Reeson has the night off.
And I'm Kimberly Perkins. Thanks for joining us. 2 years ago, it was the doorway to the future, the home of the boundless energy source that would change the world. Today, its doors are closing, its money spent, its leaders long gone. The National Cold Fusion Institute, started with $5 million of public money, is now part of the past. Ironically, just as scientists say they're seeing better results than ever before. Sheila Hamilton has the story.
Pons and Fleischmann's lab is abandoned, their complicated machinery lifeless. Nearly 2 years after the scientists announced they had discovered the key to a sustained nuclear reaction, those left behind are boxing up the history of the National Cold Fusion Institute.
It's been real sad. Yeah. It has been. We've made such good friends, you know, with people all over the world, and we're planning on staying in communication with them.
During its heyday, the Cold Fusion Institute hosted scientists from across the world. It was, after all, the center of cold fusion research. But few laboratories were able to reproduce Pons and Fleischmann's results. Pons and Fleischmann had a falling out with the Institute and opted to pursue cold fusion research abroad. Try as they might, Institute directors couldn't come up with outside funding to keep NCFI alive.
It will be a little lonely, but I'm hoping we'll get some people back.
Dr. James McIntyre is one of the few scientists who will keep office space at the Institute. He and Dr. Fritz Will continue to try to drum up cold fusion sponsorship in the U.S.
I mean, it's actively being pursued in other countries, Japan and Russia. Perhaps the people who are doing it least now are in the United States.
McIntyre claims a group of scientists who stayed on at the Institute found the way to reproduce tritium regularly, and they are close to understanding what triggers the effect.
Although the Institute itself will close, cold fusion experimentation will still go on. Most of Pons and Fleischmann's experiments will be moved back down to the University of Utah campus, where business associates and graduate students continue to try and unlock the mystery of cold fusion. Sheila Hamilton, KTVX 4 News.
So where are Pons and Fleischmann now? Well, they're both attending a national cold fusion conference this week in Italy. Barb?
The University of Utah is trying to recapture another controversial part of its history. Officials are trying to recover the rights to the Jarvik 7 artificial heart. The U sold the artificial heart licensing and technology to Arizona-based Symbion in the early 80s. But now Symbion is going under, and the FDA pulled its approval of the Jarvik 7. But U of U officials and executives from the Tucson group are negotiating with Symbion this weekend to get back their rights. The university would then reapply for FDA approval to implant the pump as a temporary device while patients await a human heart transplant. Thousands of elderly and disabled Utahns are awaiting cuts in their supplemental Social Security income. Lawmakers voted last session to cut SSI payments by 70 cents a person effective July 1st. Today, the Department of Human Services held a hearing to listen to last-minute pleas from SSI recipients. Many get less than $400 a month in total government benefits and consider even 70 cents critical to their survival.
You can buy an extra loaf of bread, which would last you a couple of days, or some milk that would last you that long also. And it might mean the difference between taking the bus for a medical appointment or doing your laundry.
Since 1978, Utah SSI payments have dropped from $10 a month to the current $5.30 a month. Unless Governor Bangerter takes action, the cuts take effect on Monday.
The Salt Lake County Health Department is taking action to head off a rabies scare in Kearns. They're trying to find a stray Cocker Spaniel that's bitten 3 children. One of them, Amanda Glightly, who went to the hospital with her mother to begin a series of rabies shots today. Until that dog is found, the shots are a precaution. Her mother saw the flyers that were distributed in the area yesterday, warning folks that the health department had just destroyed a rabid dog, and there might be more. The county needs help in finding the dog that's bitten the 3 children, a brown or golden tan Cocker Spaniel, perhaps with a red collar. If you have information or questions, you're asked to call the County Animal Control. 2 Provo teenagers are home safe this afternoon after spending the night lost in Slate Canyon. More than 40 searchers from Utah County and Provo City and the Rocky Mountain Rescue Dogs began looking for the missing teens after they failed to return from a day hike yesterday. One of the boys was able to hike down from the mountain this morning, but it took searchers several hours to locate and assist the other boy.
If you were in downtown Salt Lake today, you may well have seen thousands of colorfully costumed square dancers. The conventioneers are here from all over the country, and this afternoon they took to the streets to show off their square dancing pride. The square dance outfit is a fashion that hasn't changed for years, although each organization has its own distinct set of colors. The square dancers will be in Salt Lake tomorrow. And still to come, some Utah Navajos are fighting their own tribe over oil profits.
And they're getting help from the state of Utah. We'll be right back.
Water. Make every drop count. With help from True Value hardware stores. First, get True Value's own Green Thumb Impulse or oscillating sprinkler, just $9.66 each. And this Green Thumb 75-foot reinforced vinyl hose, only $16.88. Stays flexible year-round. Then control water automatically with this Green Thumb timer. It's only $29.99 at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
These days,
at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
These days, there are a lot of family sedans to choose from. But the best value for my money was Ford Taurus. My Taurus has a standard driver's side airbag, room for 6, a more powerful engine that gets great gas mileage, and available anti-lock brakes. What more could you want? Oh, yeah, price. Heck, my Ford dealer saved me over $1,000, and you can take that to the bank. My Taurus, simply a better value.
Come on, give me your wine.
Give me a break. Paramount Pictures invite you to experience the struggle,
He doesn't remember us.
the hope,
Now, we ought to be videotaping this beautiful moment.
and the triumph
I want to go home.
of Henry Turner,
I want us to be a family.
Harrison Ford, in a Mike Nichols film
Big kid.
Okay.
regarding Henry. Rated PG-13. Special sneak preview Saturday, July 6th at select theaters.
Only one thing strikes fear into every dirty corner.
No! The Hoover Fork is spectacular!
Yes, it's another Hoover Floor Care Spectacular, featuring the new Elite 2 cleaner. Yikes! It's got a tool storage caddy and top tool connection for convenient above-floor cleaning. Priced from $99.99. The Hoover Floor Care Spectacular.
I hate this time of year.
Now at ZCMI in the housewares department of all stores.
A man arrested in Montana Wednesday for allegedly abducting a 13-year-old Sandy girl has waived extradition to Utah. Authorities say this is not the first time 34-year-old Thomas Headley has been a suspect in a child abduction. Back in 1989, he was charged with kidnapping a 6-year-old Box Elder County girl. His trial for that ended in a hung jury. Sandy police say authorities are expected to bring Headley back to Utah next week to face charges for the Sandy girl's 5-month-long abduction.
Police are still looking for 2 men who walked away from a work release program just before federal authorities filed indictments against them. Lewis Ivey and Travis Martin face charges of civil rights violations against minorities in the Orem area. Ivey and Martin were being held at the Utah County Jail on assault charges. They live in the shadow of oil rigs, yet the Navajos living on the Utah portion of their sprawling reservation get little in return for their oil. The royalties from one of the biggest oil companies go to the tribal government in Arizona and seldom come back to San Juan County. Some Utah Navajos want that changed. They went to the federal court to get some help and got none. Tribal leaders have also turned a deaf ear, but now the Utah Navajos have found a champion in the Utah Attorney General's office. Paul Murphy has their story.
To the Navajos, the mesas, rocks, and plants all have their own song, their own harmony. But the Chusca Energy Corporation has added a new sound, one that is drowning out the music. In 4 years, Chusca has pumped at least 1 million barrels of oil out of the reservation's Aneth extension, enough crude to produce an estimated $3 million in royalties for the Navajo Nation. But little of that money has trickled down to Navajos like Manuel and Yanua Morgan.
It's just like we've been raped out here, from the land, from the everything.
Although the oil is drilled in Utah, Chusca signed a deal in 1987 to send their royalty checks directly to the Navajo tribe in Arizona. Now some of the Navajos living here are asking the state to step in to bring that money back home. The state has agreed, taking on the federal government and the oil company.
This is one way that there is potentially money up there that we're claiming should go to San Juan County Navajos.
My view is that the lawful government of the San Juan Navajos is the Navajo Nation, and they ought to be the ones who get that money.
The dispute also put some Utah Navajos in the position of battling their own tribe.
That's the awkward thing. That
Digna Sozi is an economic developer for San Juan County Navajos. He says if the money goes to the state, it will benefit the 6,500 people here. If it goes to the tribe, it will be stretched out to help 200,000 Navajos. This is also an issue of whom the Navajos should trust with their money. The tribe, which has been scandalized by kickbacks, or the state, which has already been accused of mismanaging millions of Navajo dollars. For Navajos like Tony Jones and his wife Susie, it's not much of a choice. Jones says no matter who manages the money, the future likely holds more of the same. Their land will have less oil, they still won't have electricity, and they will still be gathering wood by hand to heat their hogans. Paul Murphy, KTVX 4 News, the Utah Navajo Reservation.
The state of Utah has appealed an Interior Department decision that keeps the money flowing to Arizona. The department is expected to respond to that appeal on July 7th. In a related matter, the Navajo Nation has filed a suit in federal court today against the state of Utah and San Juan County. The suit says the state and county are unlawfully trying to tax the Chusca Energy Corporation. The tribe says Chusca is an agent of the Navajo Nation and cannot be taxed.
A vote to raise taxes in Salt Lake County for a light rail transit system is going to be on the ballot in the fall of 1992. County commissioners said today the extra year will give those involved more opportunity to educate the public. They also expect a higher voter turnout during the general elections of '92. That tax would raise $13 to $17 million a year for a rail system running along the I-15 corridor. And fine wine will continue to be an accompaniment to the Utah Symphony's concerts at Deer Valley. State liquor commissioners were looking into stopping symphony patrons from bringing wine to the outdoor concerts because of Utah's new brown bagging law. But that law forbids bringing alcohol into an establishment. And liquor commissioners say the great outdoors doesn't fall into that category. Symphony officials were relieved.
We feared that if there was a change in the past practice of allowing our patrons to bring wine onto the premises of Deer Valley, that could have adversely affected our summer sales.
Chummer says the summer concert series at Deer Valley brings in about $300,000, and forbidding wine might have seriously hurt people's thirst for the series. Well, Dave Nemeth, I don't think has any wine, but he is outside.
That's right. He's once again enjoying a day at the Utah Arts Festival.
We'll check in with him in just a moment for the KTVX forecast.
Because Larry H. Miller sells more Toyotas than anyone in Utah, we have only ourselves left to challenge. So with an extra allocation of trucks, we're on our way to breaking our own June sales record of over 150 new cars and trucks at unheard of low prices. Like 4x4 trucks, just $10,900. 4-door 4Runners, just $15,700. $15,700 for a 4Runner. Camrys from $10,700. $10,700 for a Camry. Choose from this huge selection and help us set a new June sales record at Larry H. Miller Toyota.
Hey, Salt Lake City, you need hard water zest.
It's hard to get clean in hard water, and you're in a hard water town. Clean with hard water zest, and you'll know what we mean. You're not fully clean unless you're zestfully clean.
Hard water zest was made for hard water. Soap leaves a film behind, but zest rinses clean. No film on your skin.
No ring in your toe.
You're not fully clean unless you're zestfully clean.
There's a breed of man who lives for the challenge of the grill, the roar of the flames, and the cold steel of the spatula.
Let's cook.
Dad, we're doing pizza.
But this summer, Pizza Hut has the incredible Picnic Pairs deal. Try one of 3 great Pizza Lovers pizzas for just $8.99 and get a second for just $4 more.
Okay, who wants another side? Pizza Hut, making it great.
It's here, announcing super low 2.9% financing for 48 months on 2 of summer's hottest cars, Mercury Capri and Tracer. 2.9 financing or up to $750 cash back on Tracer. 2.9% financing or $600 cash back on Capri. So come and get them while the deals are hot.
Oh, pretty woman.
Dave Nemeth is at the Arts Festival, and Dave, my friend, you have changed.
Well, feeling a little bit flat today, Kimberly. Actually, you're watching the very skilled hands of Karen DeBurke do my caricature. This is one of the most popular places to be here at the Arts Festival because there are literally, you can't see all of them, but there are lots of people standing around, and they stand here all day and watch Karen at work, and she has really done some magnificent caricatures, I can tell you that, and she's working on a pretty good one right there. I'm real happy with this one. Tell you what, we're also very happy with the weather because things have turned out rather nicely as opposed to what we were looking at last night. Let's take a look at our current conditions at the airport right now. 84 degrees under partly cloudy skies. The relative humidity is 15%, so things are much drier than we thought. Winds are out of the south at 13 miles per hour, a bit gusty every now and then, and pressure's falling, 29.68 inches of mercury in the barometer. Up to 85 for the high today. That was a lot warmer than we thought, and it was not too far away from the normal high of 88 degrees for this day. 102 was the record high back in 1961. It was more like that last year out here. A trace of precip both at Murray and at Ogden. 79 for a high at Ogden. Taylorsville one better at 80. Provo up to 82 and dry today. Spanish Fork also at 82. Kanab up to 84. Ruby Valley with a little bit of rainfall and a high of 65 degrees. We did see things clear out rather nicely as the system progressed on through. We'll take a look at the satellite loop, and it moved out just as fast as it came on in, kind of snuck up on us with a surprise, and it moved out surprisingly fast and left us with a very, very nice day out here at the Arts Festival. On our radar and satellite composite, you can see the state of Utah just about as dry as you could ask for. Some precipitation up to the northwest and off even further to the west along the California-Nevada border, and scattered precipitation across the south central and southeastern United States. For the region then, for tonight, we're going to see things, well, we're going to see a little bit of cloudiness up toward the northwestern part of the region, fair down to the southeast, overnight lows in the 40s and 50s across most of the area. For tomorrow, we're going to see kind of another mixed bag of precipitation. A little bit of clouds, a little bit of sunshine, and some scattered rain showers around. And again, the further south you are, the more likely you are to stay in the clear as far as precipitation goes. Highs around the region tomorrow up into the 70s across most of the area. For tonight across the state of Utah, fair down south, partly cloudy up to the north. And again, the breezy winds are going to still be persistent, but that should not cause a big problem if you're planning on coming out to the Arts Festival. Overnight low is pretty mild, 59 degrees for an overnight low at Salt Lake City. Tomorrow, a pretty good day. Scattered showers and clouds will move into the northern part of the state, just basically partly cloudy down south, with high temperatures about 5 degrees or 6 degrees cooler than normal. 80 degrees for a high at both Provo and Salt Lake City. Down south, St. George and Bullfrog in the low to mid-90s. For the 5-day forecast for southern Utah, basically not a bad stretch of weather if you like sunshine and warm temperatures, because we're going to gradually move the clouds out and move the mercury up. Temperatures hovering around the 100-degree mark as we get into the end of the weekend. For northern Utah, things are a little bit different, at least as far as tomorrow is concerned. The chance of some scattered showers, so better likelihood of getting wet tomorrow than we actually had today, with temperatures gradually warming up, and again, the clouds moving out as well. So we'll see improving conditions as the week progresses. I'll tell you what, we're going to have a day on our hands tomorrow that is going to be pretty good for coming on down to the Arts Festival. Tonight should be very, very nice. Tomorrow looks pretty good, and I think we're also going to see the rest of the weekend progress pretty nicely. I want to see the finished product here. Karen, if we can hold that up and maybe take a peek at it. This is one talented lady. There we go. The finished product, Dave Nemeth, and holding the microphone and the whole bit. Karen DeBerk put this together. She did a really nice job. What do you folks think? Pretty nice? I told you she was popular. Come on down and let Karen do your portrait for you. She does a really nice job. Kimberly, Barbara, back to you.
You know, Dave, Barb and I are going down to the Arts Fest between shows. What are the crowds like this afternoon?
Actually, they are not bad. I think we scared a few people away last night with our doom and gloom forecast, and thankfully we were wrong in this case, and the clouds did move out. So actually, I would say don't plan on fighting a big crowd, and I think we did have a better crowd here today than yesterday, so I think the organizers are pretty happy, too.
All right, we'll see you
there.
I'll be here.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
Ahead in sports, the big rematch in the desert.
And how the NBA has changed. Mike Allen joins us next.
Every little movement has a meaning on its own. Every thought and feeling by some posture can be shown.
Your every move can be seriously affected due to an injury. If you've been injured due to the fault of another, call Goy-Kachia Law Offices.
Every move you make.
We talk your language.
Thanks to the National Guard's Emergency Relief Fund, the homecoming for many Guardsmen was especially happy, because while they were gone, their families received financial assistance. Now, however, that fund is depleted. Please join Fred Meyer in helping restore it by taking part in Citizens Day for the Guard. Right now, when you buy special T-shirts at Fred Meyer, proceeds benefit the fund. Just look for the giant greeting card and be sure to add your own patriotic message. They've given so much. Now you can help give something back.
Us drive like life's a game. But in life, there's no replay. It doesn't hurt to drive carefully.
You're so competitive.
I am not.
Well, that's why we bought the Ford Explorer.
No, we bought the Ford Explorer because it's got a larger, more powerful engine.
Than the imports.
More interior room.
Than anything else in its class.
Push-button four-wheel drive.
A Ford exclusive.
And a lot of options.
Like I said, you've got to have the very best.
Honey, our Ford Explorer is simply a better value.
So, you're telling me you're not competitive?
I'm not.
You are.
I'm not.
R2.
Save over $1,000 on Ford Explorer.
I'm not.
R2.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Two of boxing's greats are squaring off tonight. Are you placing any bets?
I'm not. I'm going to stay away from this one because the first one was closer than I thought it would be. Razor Ruddock fought a pretty good fight against Mike Tyson in the first one, so anything can happen tonight. We'll just have to wait and see. A big rematch tonight in Las Vegas between a couple of guys who don't really like each other. In their first fight last March, Mike Tyson stopped Razor Ruddock in 7 rounds, and that's where the controversy began. In the 7th, Tyson shocked Ruddock with a hard left. Referee Richard Steele stepped in and stopped the fight with 37 seconds left in the round. That brought the veteran referee a storm of controversy and had them talking rematch before the ring was cleared.
Tonight's fight will be handled by Mills Lane, who's got a reputation of letting the fighters fight.
Well, I'm flattered to be selected, and I look for a good fight. They both can fight, and we know that. And my thoughts are I'll do my best job. I don't think too much about the outcome or anything else. I'm just going to do the best I can do.
Something different at Wimbledon today. The sun was out, at least for a while, but that still won't ease the backlog of matches waiting to be played. In fact, for the first time in the 114-year history of the tournament, matches will be played this Sunday. Now, it took a couple of days and 5 sets, but Andre Agassi finally did manage to defeat Canadian Grant Connell today. And two-time champion Jimmy Connors was a winner, as were Boris Becker, Yvonne Lendl, French Open champ Jim Courier, and Steffi Graf. All the excitement of Wednesday's NBA draft has just about died down. Now comes the tough part, signing those new players to contracts. But 34 years ago, things were a little different. That's when Utah Jazz broadcaster Hot Rod Hundley was the NBA's #1 pick. Wesley Ruff has more in this report.
Back in 1957, there were only 8 teams in the entire NBA, one of which was the Minneapolis Lakers. They owned the #1 pick in the draft, and they selected a skinny kid from West Virginia by the name of Hot Rod Hundley.
I was driving through West Virginia, and I heard about it on the radio. It took about 3 minutes to run through the 8-team draft of the first round, so no big deal was made of it. The team contacted me a day later. We talked briefly on the phone, and then the owner called me, and with about 15 minutes, we agreed on a contract without an agent, and that was it.
He could have used an agent. His contract was considerably less than what yesterday's top pick, Larry Johnson, will make.
I made $10,000. I was the first player picked in the draft and played 6 years, and the most I ever made was $11,500, so those were big numbers to me.
Approximately 3,000 fans showed up at the Salt Palace to watch the draft televised live. Hot Rod was there, watching as well, in amazement.
I think about it now and look at what's going on and how big this thing has grown. You got more people at the NBA draft than we averaged fans at a game with the Lakers in Minneapolis. That's no lie. It's unbelievable.
What is really unbelievable is when Hot Rod stops to think about what he could make if he were the #1 pick today.
I would honestly think, being #1, I'd get at least $15 million for 5 years, okay, if I'm the first player picked in the draft. I played 2 All-Star games, so I got to be asking for a raise.
He says he has no regrets about his career, just one question for his mom about the timing of his birth.
When did my mother wait?
Wesley Ruff, KTVX, 4 Sports.
I think she was probably happy to have him right when she
I'm
did.
sure
Yeah.
she was.
Oh, by the way, tomorrow at Bonneville Golf Course, starting at 8 p.m., Channel 4 will have their first of 10 Beat the Pro contest. It's the closest to the pin contest where whoever is closest to the pin that day.
And who's our pro tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow the celebrity pro is Greg Marsden. Everybody will be trying to beat. It'll be a little tough because he was within 7 feet of the pin. But Wesley Ruff will be out there. And
He's no slouch for the
no,
golf club either.
he'll be out there with the camera crew, and they'll tape highlights for his show on Sunday night.
Right. Thanks a lot, Mike.
All right.
And we'll be back in just a bit.
Are you ready to play?
Wheel of Fortune.
And the Jeopardy!
Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy.
Back to back, Trebek and Sajak's band is gonna be there, and so will you. I said back to back, the game show attack, cause the wheel is gonna get you in Jeopardy too.
Any questions?
Back to back classics, any way you play them.
Wheel of Fortune at 6 and Jeopardy at 6:30 tonight on KTVX Channel 4.
At America's Best Contacts and Eyeglasses, price is more important than ever. Patients get 2 pair of eyeglasses or a pair of daily wear soft contacts for $49.99. And that includes the eye exam. We will beat any legitimate advertised price, period. That's 2 pair of eyeglasses complete or daily wear soft contacts, including the eye exam for $49.99 only at America's Best Contacts and Eyeglasses. Call now.
These days, there are a lot of family sedans to choose from. But the best value for my money was Ford Taurus. My Taurus has a standard driver's side airbag, room for 6, a more powerful engine that gets great gas mileage, and available anti-lock brakes. What more could you want? Oh, yeah, price. Heck, my Ford dealer saved me over $1,000, and you can take that to the bank. My Taurus, simply a better value.
For 4 big days, now through Monday only, a wide selection of Levitt's floor samples have been reduced 38 to 68% off. But that's not all. If you don't find the floor sample you want, you can take 1/3 off the regular price of any item you choose from Levitt's complete inventory. That's right. Selected floor samples are 38 to 68% off, and everything else in stock is 1/3 off. But hurry, this sale ends Monday night.
You'll love it at Levitt's.
New tonight at 10, we haven't heard much lately about the June 13th fire in Rose Park that killed 3 children. That's because it was a suspected arson, and that's one of the most difficult crimes to solve. We'll examine why the odds usually aren't in favor of arson investigators. Tonight at 10.
For all of the KTVX News team, thanks for joining us tonight.
And we'll see you later tonight. Good night.
Join KTVX and Wendy's this Saturday at Bonneville for Beat the Pro. This week's Celebrity Pro is Greg Marsden. Brought to you by Wendy's, with proceeds going to muscular dystrophy.
The nightmare slowly fades away. Images of another time, an ugly time when they threw their trash, their waste upon the land. But people cried for change, and change did come, a little at a time. We taught our children, or did they teach us, to respect the earth and one another? The vision's dim, but the message remains.
Hi, I'm Tracy Ruiz Conforto, Olympic gold medalist, and this is my friend, Skipper the Parrot. Skipper and I want you to be safe this summer when you're around the water. Remember, always check the water before you jump in. Is it deep enough? For more information on Skipper's water safety program, stop by your local Skipper's Seafood and Chowder House restaurant. A message from people who care about water safety.
More bang for your buck. It's Sun Valley Waterbed's 4th of July weekend waterbed blowout. Complete waterbeds starting at $99. Waterbeds for only $169. This sensation softside waterbed only $294. 15 unique waterbeds for under $199. Under $199. No payments for 3 months. Hurry, it's happening this weekend at Sun Valley Waterbeds, including our showrooms in Salt Lake, Ogden, and Provo-Orem.